Good morning, students. We are into doing the chapter Indigo by Louis Fisher. Let's continue with the line by line explanation of the chapter. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. He waited till Gandhi was free. So Gandhi said to Shukla what? That on a particular such and such date I would be in Calcutta. You come to Calcutta and together we will head to Champaran. So when he had this last talk with Rajkumar Shukla, from then till the Calcutta visit, many months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointed spot in Calcutta. So Shukla remembered the date, remembered the time then when Gandhi called him to Calcutta, and he waited on his haunches. That is, he sat on the ground with legs bent and he waited till Gandhi was free from his appointments, engagements. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. So together they boarded a train for Patna. There Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became president of the Congress Party and of India. So Shukla took Gandhi to the lawyer in Patna, and the name of the lawyer is Rajendra Prasad. And he later became the president of the free country, that is, president of our country, India. And he was also the president of the Congress Party. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the indigo sharecroppers. Now Rajendra Prasad was not in town, he was out of town. But then the servants of Rajendra Prasad recognized Shukla because he used to come to their master, that is Rajendra Prasad, to discuss about the matters or the injustice done to the indigo sharecroppers. So the servants recognized Shukla. So they let him stay on the grounds with his companion Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. So the servants asked Shukla to sit on the ground, and they in fact asked Gandhi also to sit on the ground because they thought Gandhi was also a farmer. And why? Because Gandhi was very simple in his attire, and that is why the servants asked him to sit on ground. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water from the well lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? Now students, during those days untouchability was prevalent. So this is one of the example that how the servants of Rajendra Prasad did not allow Gandhi to have water or to touch the water resource well or something. Why? Because they thought might be Gandhi was belonged to a lower caste. So we know that untouchability was prevalent at that period of time. Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, to obtain more complete information about condition than Shukla was capable of imparting. Now Rajkumar Shukla had already given Gandhi information regarding the injustice done by the British landlords to the sharecroppers, the indigo sharecroppers. But then Gandhi thought that I need to obtain every minute detail and issues regarding the same. So he thought that en route, that is on the route, on the way, Muzaffarpur was there, that is from Patna to Champaran. Muzaffar came in the way. So he thought that it would be better that I go to Muzaffarpur first and try to get all the issues or things, try to get all the minute details regarding the sharecropping incidences or sharecropping injustice done by the British landlords. There might be something that Shukla might have not told him. So he thought that every minute detail I should learn from the other resources as much as possible. So he thought that it would be better that heading for Champaran, first I should stop at Muzaffarpur. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kriplani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore Shanti Niketan School. So he sent a telegram to J.P. Kriplani, And he was what? He was a professor in the arts college in Muzaffarpur. And he knew Kriplani how? Because he had met Kriplani in Tagore's Shanti Niketan school. So this telegram was sent to Kriplani informing him that he would be coming to Muzaffarpur on so and so date for a visit. The train arrived at midnight, 15th April 1917. Kriplani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. So Gandhi and Rajkumar Shukla, they came to Muzaffarpur on 15th April 1917 at midnight. And when Gandhi came to Muzaffarpur, Kriplani along with a huge body of students, that is large body of students, number of students, he was waiting at the station to welcome Gandhi. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the house of Professor Malkani, a teacher in a government school. So Gandhi stayed in Muzaffarpur for 2 days in the house of Professor Malkani, and he is a government teacher. It was an extraordinary thing in those days, Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me. So when Gandhi is telling or giving details about the events to Louis Fisher, he says that during those days it was an unusual thing for a government professor to shelter a man like me. Man like me means what man? In smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule. So it says people like me who are fighting for the country, the struggle of freedom is going on. So it's a big thing. Why? Because in smaller localities, people were scared of the wrath of the Britishers, scared that they were afraid of the dire consequences of helping the advocates of the home rule. The news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. So Gandhi coming to Muzaffarpur and Champaran, this news spread in the villages, and they were amazed that Gandhi is a person. The mission was what? The mission was to fight against the injustice done to the indigo sharecroppers. So this news spread like a wildfire in the villages. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champions. So these sharecroppers who were the victims of this landlord system, they whatever means, whether it is on foot or whether any conveyance they were able to arrange, they came to Muzaffarpur to see their champion, to see the person who is going to fight for the cause of the injustice of sharecroppers. Muzaffarpur loyals called on Gandhi to brief him. So Muzaffarpur lawyers came to Gandhi to tell him about the details of the cases, the details of the indigo sharecroppers. They frequently represented peasant groups in courts, and these lawyers were what? They were actually representing these farmers in the court as they were fighting in the court for the injustice of the landlord system of the British landlords. They told him about their cases and reported the size of the fee. So lawyers told Gandhi about the cases, the particular cases that are running in court of the indigo sharecroppers, and they also told that what fee they charge from these poor farmers. Gandhi chided the lawyers for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. Now Gandhi was not happy learning that the lawyers are taking a huge amount of fee. So Gandhi did what? He scolded, he rebuked the lawyers. Why? He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. So Gandhi said that what I consider important is that we should stop go to law courts. Taking such cases to courts does a little good, because these law courts are not going to help in the problem solving. The best would be look for some means or some solution where the solution to the problem can be looked for rather than the law courts. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken, law courts are useless. So the poor farmers, they are already crushed, they are already poor, they're illiterate, they're fear-stricken, and they are under debts, Many of them have lost their lands also, and moreover they are sharecroppers. Sharecroppers, that they are tenant farmers in the land of the British landlords. So they already, the state is dejected. So going to law courts is not going to give them any help. So some solutions should be looked outside the court. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. And moreover, the big relief would be what? That first of all, let them be free from fear, fear of the Britishers. Let them come out, or infuse courage in them, that they are no more afraid of the Britishers. Most of the arable land in the Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. So what actually is sharecropping? This we are going to learn from this paragraph. It says most of the arable land, that is land for cultivation, land fit for plowing and tilling. So it says that arable land in Champaran district was divided into large estate owned by Englishmen, and most of them were owned by Englishmen, that is British landlords, and worked by Indian tenants, and it was worked by the Indian farmers who were tenants working over there. What are tenants? Tenant means one who holds land under a landlord. So these Indian farmers used to work on those lands, and whatever the crop used to come, they used to give that as a rent to the landlords. Now what exactly was indigo sharecropping? The chief commercial crop was indigo, so the main crop was indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20th or 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as a rent. So the landlords, the British landlord, asked these Indian tenants that on the 15% holding, that is the land, rented land, they have to do what? They have to do indigo planting. And then the harvest that would come, they have to give the total harvest, surrender the total harvest as a rent. This was done by long-term contract, and it was a long-term contract. This indigo sharecropping was done. Presently, the landlords learn that Germany has developed synthetic indigo. So the landlords, the British landlords, learned that the Germany has made artificial indigo, and then artificial indigo would be in much cheaper rate. They thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. So what did this British landlord did? That they told the Indian tenants that if you want the British landlords to relieve you from the 15% indigo sharecropping that you do on the land, you have to do a compensation. We are going to release you from this contract of 15% indigo harvest and thing, the plantation of indigo. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome to the pheasants, and many signed willingly. Now pheasants were poor, pheasants were illiterate, and it was a long-term contract. They thought giving a compensation is much easier than running this indigo plantation on the land holdings. So many of them very willingly signed that they are ready to pay compensation to the British landlord so as that they are released from this arrangement of 15% harvest, indigo harvest, to be given as a rent to the landlords. Those who resisted engaged lawyers. The landlord hired thugs. Now those farmers who refused, that they are not happy with the compensation thing, they are not going to sign, they engaged lawyers, that is the farmers engaged lawyers. The landlords hired thugs. Now landlords wanted to do it, that they hired thugs. Thugs are what? They are violent people, like criminals. So they hired those thugs so as to threaten the poor farmers. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed, and they wanted their money back. So now this poor farmer learned what? That the Germany is producing this synthetic indigo, and the British landlords are going to get that indigo in a cheaper rate. But when they were asked compensation, a huge amount of compensation was asked by them. So they wanted back. This illiterate farmer wanted what? That you return the money back, the huge amount that you have taken from us. At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran, and this was the fight that was going on between the British landlords and the sharecroppers of Champaran. At that point, Rajkumar Shukla asked Gandhi to come to Champaran for the fight of injustice of the landlord system.